Welcome back to Browns Film Breakdowns Mock Draft number 2. We are literally hours away from the draft. Right now it would be under 24 hours away from the draft. That is Wednesday night. We're going to hopefully get this up Wednesday night, if not Thursday morning, for your viewing pleasure as you're itching toward the first round of the draft. A little bit of a different field this year. The Browns, for some reason, I don't understand why, don't have 2 picks in the top 5 again. But we are going to work through a bunch of different reasons, logic, scenarios in which the Browns might take somebody in the first round, or they might sit still and take who they have. We're going to go through everything. I want to bring in as many different opinions. Coming back this time from the first edition, Brendan Leister. Brendan, how are you, buddy?
Doing great, man. Excited to get started.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. So also wanted to bring in a couple guys I know do great work. John Colosimo over at Waiting for Next Year, the old home for me, right? And does great podcast work, the Dawgs by Nature Network right there. So how you doing, John?
I'm doing excellent, man. Excited to be here.
And then lastly, my man Mike Krupka, Mr. Hawaii. What time is it there, like 2 o'clock?
Yeah, we're just about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, man.
Unbelievable. What's
Crazy.
the weather like? Perfection?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's about to be summertime out here, so the switch is flipped. Anyways, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, of course. I love Mike's work. He does great draft stuff, great video work, great analysis on Twitter. We will let those guys plug all of their fantastic stuff they do at some point. But for now, we are going to get started on the mock draft because it's going to pick players for us. I did one today that I put on the OBR, which I thought people didn't seem to understand that I couldn't just pick every player I wanted. Like I went through and did a simulator like we're going to do, and those players that you might dream about having might not be there when we pick at 49. So let's do the same here. We're going to go through it sort of slowly. We are going to pause at spots I think that a trade could be discussed, and we're going to get everybody's opinion. And I'm going to play the role of John Dorsey, buddy boy, and eventually have to make some choices on these things. These are my experienced scouts who cover the coast to coast, best of the best players that have their guys that they think the Browns should take. I will try to come to a consensus. If we can't come to a consensus, I will just make a choice, and we'll go from there. And you can laugh at me in a year's time if I'm completely wrong, which happens far more than I'd like to admit. So let's get rolling. We're going to start this sucker and get going. Looks like some surprise has started in the first 4. We did not see Kyler Murray go number 1, which is it could happen. It could go either way with that direction. But in the first 4 picks, the Jets seem to love DK Metcalf. I don't think that's going to happen. But this could shake out very strange. And in this situation, at the top of the draft, Devin White's early to Oakland. We're just going to keep going. We're going to see what it kind of comes up with organically here. You do finally see Kyler come off the board. Kyler goes to the Giants at 6. I know he visited the Giants, so that's in the realm of possibility. First tight end taken. Detroit takes T.J. Hawkinson. Bosa finally goes 9 to Buffalo. I would imagine they would be rather pleased with that situation, getting him at 9. Leave it at that. Bengals take Christian Wilkins. Packers take Ed Oliver. Drew Lock to the Dolphins. So we still have sitting on the board Ohio State quarterback Dwayne Haskins. Fant goes to Atlanta. Devin Bush, which is a guy some people were interested in trading up for. Washington takes him. Juwan Taylor, Rashawn Gary. So we still have Haskins on the board, and we're going to pause here. So Pittsburgh takes Byron Murphy. Pick 21 with Seattle, I think, is a place that some people could consider moving up for a player. I think if Seattle will at least – I know they made the trade for Frank Clark to Kansas City, but they're still not sitting on a huge allotment of picks, and maybe they're interested in moving down if the right deal is thrown at them. I will start. Brendan, anybody on the board you think at this spot is worth trading up for, you would feel comfortable with this sort of capital it would take to trade up for here?
Nope. I'm not interested in moving up. I think it's going to take too many picks. You're going to have to dip into next year's picks. I'm not interested in that.
All right. John?
I'm in complete agreement with Brendan. There's definitely nobody on this board that I'm willing to trade up for.
Well, we can eliminate this whole thing quick and not have to stop until we get to pick 49. What we'll do is Mike, is there anybody you're interested right here that makes sense?
No, I agree with the guys. I think moving up into the first is too valuable.
Gotcha. All right, yeah, I'm with you guys. So we'll keep going. I hate Pittsburgh getting Byron Murphy because I like him as a player, but they got to pick guys, right?
Same.
Marquise Brown, the greedy DeAndre.
We could maybe revisit that discussion like in the second round at some point, but
yeah,
first round, I don't think so.
I'm with you guys.
Right.
So the only other plausible spot I thought they could stop right here. So Greg Little goes to the Rams. You see a couple tackles that I thought would be interesting talking points. A guy I'm a huge fan of who's probably number 1 or 2 on my tackle board. Dillard is gone at 28, 29. Cody Ford to Seattle. One of the safeties, the Browns could potentially be interested there. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson goes to Green Bay at 30. And then, like I said a minute ago, Greg Little to the Rams. Now you're at 32. This is your last chance at anybody on this board for a 5th-year option. You could lock in your guy. Is there anybody here? I'll open it up. If you got nothing, don't say anything. If you want somebody here, yell at me. And we're moving on. All right. That's fine. That is fine. So we will move on. New England takes they ended up taking, did I see that right? Was that Irv Smith? I think it was. Tight end? I think so. We will leave it at that.
I welcome them to that pick.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so let's move into round 2. Let me see if I can. Oh, we got an offer. So we got – let me see here. So we have Buffalo offering us pick 8 for our pick 2 and pick 3, picks in round 2 and round 3. And then New England offers us a couple second-round picks to move up from 24 to pick 17.
Yeah,
that's. I think I'd snap on that.
Yeah,
New England
offer.
That
doesn't seem realistic at all. But I would definitely take that if that was reality. But I don't see Bill Belichick.
This is our reality right now. Let's see what we got. I like it. You guys in on that?
I'm in on that.
Boy.
All right, I'm accepting it.
You get 2 similar players versus 1. That's a no-brainer.
I'm into it. Yeah, and it does look like they took Irv Smith there, New England. So New England made an interesting choice. They must love somebody. I don't know. They have to do them in the beginning of rounds. I don't know. But we're taking it. Now we have an extra second. I like this. So let's start it. I should ask. I started at 1 pick. We're probably 1 or 2 picks in. There goes Simmons. I was going to ask if anybody had anybody that they would like to repackage and move up for here early that we could lock up. Anybody? Or are you guys on the firm Sashi stance of let's just let's gather our picks, which I'm into it. I like it too. More shots at the dartboard. We all good with this so far?
Yeah, I don't love giving up the value that we've already accumulated. I will say that I am very big on Nasser Adderley. I know that doesn't make a ton of sense to some Brown fans because, he fits well as a free safety, but I just think he's that good a player that I love. But I think we're just on this path where getting an extra second-round pick, I'm willing to see what's left to it.
I'll say this. I am very intrigued how the Demarius Randall conversations go with this contract because if they are cutting fat somewhere in this future of deals of guys, they could just have it sounds silly to say, but the Browns might have too many good players. And this is something Browns fans will have to become accustomed to, which is like seeing your good players leave. And if they're trying to cut fat somewhere, this could be a spot that they cut fat and drafting somebody who they feel is a next year free safety starter, plug and play in year 2. Nasser Adderley makes a lot of sense. He's a center fielder type in that, that true free safety role that I think Steve Wilkes will obviously keep here. So I'm not compelled to move up right now. I get the point, but I'm not compelled to move up with this safety class. Anybody else in on that?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm not interested in moving up, but I agree with that point that they might let Randall walk and draft someone maybe this year that could step in at free safety in a year.
Okay, I'm into it. Let's see if there's somebody there when we get up or if we'll just keep running here. Adderley goes to San Francisco. Draymond Jones goes off the board early, round 2. Look, I know a lot of people are interested in him because of the Ohio State connection. I don't think he's this round 2 defensive tackle. I'll leave it at that. And there he goes. The miserable Dwayne Haskins in this situation. Incorrect spelling of his name.
Especially with his name misspelled.
Yes, which he's offended. So you could imagine him in the what is it, the waiting room, the green room, whatever that thing's called, and he's just
his father is very upset right now. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, they misspelled his name on the card. So does he actually go to Denver, or is he still on the draft board? That's just forfeit the pick because they misspelled his name.
It's a good point.
If he falls to round 2, pick 9, man, like in some of the guys who predicted that he was going to slide, that's going to be entertaining. Rockison, another guy corner that the Browns can be interested, goes to the Bengals. Hakeem Butler. Some people love Hakeem Butler. He goes to Green Bay. Interesting pick. Daniel Jones finally off the board.
We all know there's a silent auction going off for Daniel Jones right now, and it's much higher than round 2, pick 14.
Yeah, it seems like it's round 1, pick 5 is what right? Which is crazy.
I'm here
And then
for
Justin Lane off the board too. Another guy that a lot of people in my responses on Twitter today really like. So he wouldn't even have been there for the Browns' second round pick 17. We would have had to move up if we were in love. Still some interesting names on the board here, especially the safety position at the top. Let's look at corner, what's available if we do want to consider moving back up. And Julian Love is still there. I really like Sean Bunting. Amani's still there. So, yeah, we'll keep going. I'm okay with keep going, you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool. McCoy goes to the Dolphins, Winovich to the Patriots. So they used our pick to move up and get Winovich, which is kind of a New England move.
Good player.
It's a
great player.
New England
Good
move.
player.
So Rapp goes to the Titans. We'll pause after every one of these picks so we can consider if we want to jump up and make sure we lock in somebody. Jonathan Abram goes to Pittsburgh. So they totally sort of reshape their secondary in this situation. Byron Murphy is the corner, and then they take Abram at the safety position. So that's something I could obviously see them doing. Anybody here you want to move up and make sure you get Juan Thornhill? Do you want to move up and make sure you get Julian Love? Those are two names that could be gone in the next 3 or 4 picks. Those are two guys that I really like. But if you look at what's behind them, okay, here's where I'm at. I would be okay with waiting to see if Savage or Hooker still are there. I'm fine with those players comparatively to Juan Thornhill. And then corner, I still see two guys I really love if Julian Love isn't there. Are we okay with sitting still?
Yep.
Yeah, even I'm a huge Julian Love fan, but with Bunting and Amani there, I can't make an argument.
Okay, let's keep going. Julian Love is off the board on the next pick. Philly takes him. Thornhill goes right after that to Houston. Riley Ridley with the back-to-back pick there. And then your Cleveland Browns are on the clock. We have – let me check everybody available here. Mac Wilson is the top linebacker available to position of need. Ja'Kai Polite. O'Shane Zimes is there as the edge. Jalen Ferguson. Zach Allen. Tackles that are still on the board. Yannick Kaju still available. And then I'm probably going to just presume that's about it. So it comes down to, in my opinion, if I were the GM sitting in the chair, I would say we need a corner or a safety here. You guys tell me who your pick would be of the two that are sitting there available. So I will give – Brendan, you have the floor first. Here's the corner list so you can look at that. And then I'll show you one more time the safety list. And you guys can always tell me where to jump. I'm just trying to show you who's available. Our next pick, be reminded, our next pick is 8 picks away. So bear in mind on that one. Not far away. So who's your guy in this situation?
Well, he's lower on this board, but David Long would be my top pick at this spot. I think he's the best corner available on the board. He can play man coverage. He showed ability in zone coverage also. Good ball skills, but overall, yeah, I'm a big fan of his game. Played a ton of man-to-man, and I know that Wilkes is like a zone guy, so that's tough. Dorsey, you can speak more to how he fits the system, but I'm just talking about who I think the best player is, the best prospect, and I think Long's the best corner. Safety-wise, I would have to go with Savage at this point. I'm just very intrigued by him as a strong safety prospect. I think he has the ability to cover the slot, play a robber role, come down and make hits in the run game on underneath or in underneath coverage as well as in the run game. And then also I think he has the ability to rotate back and play single high at times. But I do like Amani Hooker a lot. But then at the same time, I also like some of the other corners also when you think ahead to our next pick. So,
okay.
Yeah. That's
so who of this, who's your pound the table for guy in this situation? Love? If you were to give me a suggestion, who would you take?
Yeah, I'm gonna say David Long.
Okay, good deal. John, you're up. What do you got? Who do you like here?
Okay, I think again, this is I agree with you. It's between these corners and safeties. For me, I've got 2 of each that I'm pretty laser focused on. That would be Savage and Hooker at the safety position, and it would be Bunting and Amani. I'm not even going to attempt to do this last name. I have never been forced to say it out loud, so I'm not going to do it today.
Is it Aurorier?
Oruwariye.
Oruwariye.
Yeah.
Oruwariye.
Thank you, Brad.
Rolls off the tongue. Rolls off the tongue.
We also got to consider that we have another pick in 7 picks. So
right. Absolutely.
Now, this sort of board hunting thing can get dicey.
Yeah. So that's
right,
the tough thing.
Random.
Long at 56 tomorrow night or 2 nights from now might be great, but right now it looks like he'll be there because of the way that this board is.
Now I did pick random, so they might take out of order.
They're not going to follow.
It doesn't seem like they do. It seems to me like they take the top guy on the board, but that's just me. But anyway, who is your John? Who's your guy that you would prefer to take in this position? Keeping in mind, like I told Brendan, we have a pick at 32, pretty close.
No, that's definitely what I have in mind. I think my guy is Amani out of Penn State. Thinking about the zone coverages that we're going to do. He's not my favorite corner, but he's definitely my favorite one left. And I think we've got a better chance of looping around at 8 picks for one of Savage or Hooker. Hooker is my preference in 8 picks. So Amani is my guy out of Penn State. I think he's still a little bit raw, converting from wide receiver. I like a lot of what I see. But again, there's definitely projection with a player like that. But he's got a high ceiling, great athlete. I like what you get in him, and I think that's my pick.
Okay, Mike, what do you got?
So for me, I'm pounding the table for Savage because if I'm looking at the stack of cornerbacks right now, I like Bunting, I like Amani, I like Long, and if we're coming back in 8 picks, I'm gonna bet that one of those guys is there. But for me, Savage is by far and away the safety prospect I wanted to walk away with. So I think, everything that he said, that Brendan said he can do, he does. I've called him the teleporter because he just seems to all of a sudden just appear where he needs to be on the field. He's just extremely fast. So that's the guy that I really want to see us take here. And then circle
really
back
explosive athlete. Really,
I will. Yeah. I will admit I am an Amani Hooker fanboy. I really like his game. But I'm very into Savage's play speed, which I think his play speed is probably the best part of his game. Like I think I don't know, somebody comped him to Bob Sanders, and I thought that was really fascinating, like a guy who can fly, and maybe not as big a hitter as Bob Sanders, but somebody who flies around and you see him closing speed stuff is really impressive. And he's grown on me in the past few days. I think I'm going to feel okay with going with Savage here and then having a good shot at a corner in 8 picks. I'm kind of coming off my pound the table for Hooker situation here, but when I have enough people that around me that believe in Savage, like I've started to really believe in him, I think he's a good football player, and I think he makes a lot of sense here. So do we like this pick and coming to a corner in 8 picks? Let me ask you this. In a hypothetical situation, New England gave us a great deal. If we did not have that player, that pick in 8 picks, who would be your guy here? Would it still would it be the same, or would it be different for anybody? Like a safety, your pick here, or do you think they have to get a corner here?
It would be the same for me. I will be surprised if he makes it this far down the board, Savage, that is. And
I agree.
I don't think he's really going to be here at 24 or, round 2, pick 24. I don't think it's going to be realistic. So I'd take him for sure.
Can I ask to see the D-line just really quick? I just want to see if any surprises are on the board. Okay, there's not. What about OT, offensive tackle?
Just get juiced. Titus Howard.
Yeah, I mean, Titus Howard's intriguing, and I also like Sharping a ton. So that's 2 intriguing guys. But, yeah, I'm still going to go with Savage. And I think Savage is the type that maybe he sneaks into round 1 tomorrow night. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
I'm with it. John, you don't have to agree with us.
No, I mean, I personally, I would pound the table harder for Amani in this case if we did not have that pick and out of Penn State. If we did not have that pick in 8, but I like Darnell Savage, just as much as these guys. So there's no way that I would be disappointed in this pick.
Okay, let's do Savage here, and then we'll look at a corner in a couple picks and feel pretty good about it. So we look at Ja'Kai Polite, who's had one of the worst draft processes in a long time.
Oh, man.
Goes to Philly. Trayvon Mullen goes to Dallas. Arcega Whiteside, Brendan, our guy, goes to Andrew Luck.
I like that. I like that a
J-Jaw.
lot.
Great.
Yeah,
It's a great pick.
I'm not going to like it in the playoffs, but I like it right now.
Yeah, good point. Kelvin Harmon, Mr. Overrated in my opinion.
Not worried about that.
Hey,
I'll enjoy
they're
that.
trying to find they're trying to find Tyrell Williams, right? They might have a little slower version, but Mac Wilson goes to the Chiefs. Yes. Corner Joanne Williams from Vanderbilt, I believe, right, goes to New Orleans. And last pick,
Godspeed.
good football player, Elgin Jenkins.
Oh, that's a good pick. Jenkins, I actually had him in mind. Like, I was thinking maybe take him there. I know that sounds crazy, but if you let Treader leave in a year, he'd just step right in.
That's something that they could entertain. I wouldn't be surprised if they looked for another one of those guys. So that's a good point.
Well, that trade allows us to think that way, though.
Absolutely. Let me see. Yeah. Oh, hold on now.
What?
Hold on now, boys. We got
easy
Oakland.
Easy Dorsey. Come on now.
No. This is the reverse.
It's too far. It's too far.
This is the wrong.
Yeah.
What about?
I don't want to move down.
Is there another one? Another one above it, I think.
Is there above one? Oh, Giants give us a third rounder, an extra third, and then two fourth-round picks and a fifth. We'd have 4 fifth-round picks, fellas.
Oh.
What do you think?
Wow.
I do it. To be honest with you, I do it. I'm all for bringing in the cheap labor.
I'm saying no.
Yeah,
I would say yes in real life, but like, come on, like this, we can't finish 20 picks.
we got to think about we got to think about where our next pick is at too, because if we give up this 32nd pick in the second round, our next pick is going to be towards the back end of the third round, right? So we'll have the middle. So
yeah, I don't think they do this. I think they do the first one and some variation. If somebody is wanting, I think New England's too smart for that. But if somebody wants to give up an early third round pick and like one of their late second round picks, like Kansas City has an abundance there, they want to move up. I think it's plausible because I still think that they're in this now window. Yes, they're preparing for a later window too, but they're in the now window and you can still get now players at pick 32. So I'm going to vote that we stay here. I love the idea of gathering picks, but
fair enough.
Stay here.
Yeah. At some point, it's just a little over the top.
I will agree.
Especially
Thank you.
If we want to try to target a cornerback too, right? We got to jump on.
Yeah.
We got Jake Dorsey in the building. Jake Dorsey.
I actually prefer, Sashi Dorsey because we can flip it. We can flip it a little bit of both ways. I don't know. Maybe Dorsey will like trading down. He doesn't have that reputation. So. Well, now it gets fun because we have a couple guys that we both like, right? We like Amani and we like David Long. I will ask you, and Amani Hooker still would have been there too in that situation, but we didn't lose anybody we weren't very interested. I am not a Lonnie Johnson fan. That rating of him above Bunting. All right. So let's make our pick here. So like I said earlier, we have everybody sort of in the middle. I'm eliminating Lonnie Johnson. I'm not a believer in that spot for him. The next 4 names are intriguing to me. Isaiah Johnson.
I think Dean is too. Dean's talented.
He is talented. And then we're out on that. Let's look at any other positions of interest. Linebacker.
Are we out on safety though? They're 2 different types of safeties, aren't they?
In my situation, you're absolutely right.
We've got that extra pick now, so we have the ability to take 2 if we want. If we want to really bolster that DB room, because they can all play together. You can get a bunch of versatile DBs on the field together.
And Hooker's really a slot guy. He played what?
Oh yeah, he played a lot of corner,
a
lot, free safety, strong safety. Hook and Savage can move around too. I would probably take him here and see what corner is available later. Sounds nuts, but with this extra pick, it allows us to do that.
What? I kind of like that idea.
He's Minka Fitzpatrick.
I would do that 100%. He can play a bunch of spots. He's similar to Gardner Johnson. Similar, just not quite as explosive an athlete.
Yeah, can we see what's on the DL?
Yeah. Let's look at D-line. There's
and edge too, I think.
Kalen, a lot of people like. Tristan Hill, a lot of people like.
Yep.
I'm not sure where they like. There's our guy Dogby down there, 249. He'll be available, and I want to target him absolutely.
Linebackers, and we can look at linebackers.
Yeah, well, linebacker, I guess there's a big fall off on their rankings list from Jermaine Pratt, who I like a ton. Blake Cashman, they don't rate Blake Cashman as high as I think he should be.
Whoa.
Where's the Maryland linebacker?
Trey is
Watson.
What?
Might have already gotten taken.
It's possible. Some of these boards are different than what we necessarily think.
This is a player we can come back to, but I really like the dude that came in on the visit, Alaka from Texas A&M. He's an intriguing linebacker.
I don't know.
Okay.
There's Trey Lamar.
Is he listed as an edge or something?
You guys are seeing what I'm seeing. If you see his name, Maryland, there he is.
There he is. Whoa.
I think he's much better than that. You'll have that. I mean, it's
Seventh round.
I know.
Yeah.
How the heck did BJ Blunt beat him out? I can't even imagine that. What the heck?
I don't know what's up with that.
And then like offensive tackle. That's another thing.
Cole Holcomb's a guy I love too, man, and he's like 5'49", but I could be. Oh yeah, OT. Let's look at OT.
Another intriguing one is Howard and Sharping.
Yeah.
Both of those guys.
Yep.
All those guys are still there.
Juiced is still on the board.
He is the last pick of this round. I don't see it happening, but some weird shit happens with these things, and like all of these guys that have been picked. A couple of them have been a little bit crazy, like Draymond, Irv Smith, probably. But like for the most part, they're guys that could go, in those spots. Yeah. You never know. So we have
Sharping is there too. I gotta say, I agree with Brennan. Hooker is a very high ceiling guy for me personally, and I do think that if you have the correct defensive coordinator with the right mindset, we absolutely have the room to play a guy like that. So I'm very reticent to pass on him.
The only other position I would argue for is offensive tackle here. But if we could rewind a couple weeks and say that, hey, we would walk out of this draft with Savage and Hooker, I think we would all look at each other and say you're crazy. So
yeah, we'd start high-fiving.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great idea, Brendan, and I think Wilkes is the guy that will know how to, rotate those guys into just make it work. So.
Oh yeah, and plus long term, like it's possible Hooker's more ready to play immediately than Savage, and that's all right because long term you've got to project and hope these coaches can teach them, get them ready to play in year 2, year 3, all that. They both should be starters long term.
Yeah, and then if one of them doesn't work out, like you said, you got one guy there, and imagine if they both work out and become the players we expect them to be. So I am in. Biggest reason I am in, how I would sell this or justify it is positional flexibility of what Amani Hooker can do. He is not pinned to just being a box safety or something of that variety. We like his flexibility. And I'm in. We're taking 2 safeties. We picked him.
And the league is what? The league is what, at 70% sub package now?
Yep. So it's very justifiable.
I think Wilkes played nickel or smaller, so nickel, dime, etc. I think he played sub packages like 90+% of the time last year. He just played his best players.
Yeah. Right. That's what they'll do in this situation. So I like both of those guys. Now we have accumulated picks. We have actually no, we did. We just used our one, but we could always take any of these situations too. As we start falling down the line here, guys, we can always take players and move up for someone you love. It's like, here's what I'm going to start doing. Like I'm going to say, the next pick is Brendan's or the next, but because obviously, like I thought last year, like Chad Thomas was clearly a
Highsmith.
Yeah, Alonzo.
Definitely a Highsmith pick.
So yeah,
he loved
Chubb
too. You could tell Nick Chubb was like a guy he loved too.
Yeah. So if you got a guy we love, we'll make that pick. So, all right, jumping into round 2. We have this would be round 3 now. We have pick 16 in round 3. So as this goes on, I will turn over picks to guys that I trust. In this situation, John Dorsey turns it over to Elliott Wolf or Alonzo Highsmith. They will turn it over. I will ask the guys to make the pick. In some situations, unless there's somebody I love there, I will pick that guy. And then otherwise, if you see a guy you love on the board, guys, say, hey, stop. And we will try to see if there's a trade that we can make to get that guy or if it makes sense for us to give up something to go get him. So if there is somebody – tell me to stop, and let's consider moving around or up or down or whatever. So we'll see if any trades come up. So let's start this round. All right. So we see some running backs finally come off the board. Pittsburgh takes one. Jalen Ferguson goes to the Jets. Cajuste is finally off the board. Jacksonville. Sean Bunting goes to Denver. Lonnie Johnson.
Hold up one second.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
so if we're looking corners.
Yeah.
They're going to start running off this board soon. We're 10 picks away from being up. Is it of interest to anybody to move up for one of these two guys that we've talked about?
So, I know Brendan likes Long quite a bit. For me personally, on my board, I'm at a line right here where Amani is clearly above every other CB on the board. And I know that, not everybody's going to agree with me, but for me, this is a line where I'd be willing to move up to secure a corner because we're in danger of entering a different tier of cornerbacks for me.
Okay. Anybody else have a take on that right here?
I do.
Yeah. You go, Mike.
I do have Amani above all the other guys on my board as it is right now. So if that were a move that you wanted to make, I'd be down with that. I'd understand that. I think we get a good player for it. Just worried about what we have to give up.
Well, let's entertain what it takes to move up. Let's just look at it. Who is up on the board?
I'm just going to say that I would be happy with Long or Awarie or Dean at this next pick. I'd be happy with three of those or any of those three.
So Cincinnati is up on the board, which would be interesting.
A difficult partner.
it would be more difficult than this mock would be. But let's look at. We looked at Cincinnati and we looked at trading for their pick 8 here. We would obviously give up our pick 16. I would try to move it for a 6th and just see what they say.
I agree.
They might decline it. You guys in on that? Would that be something you're okay with giving up to go try and get him or not?
I wouldn't, but I understand that I might be the lone wolf.
You guys, what do you think?
Yes, I'd go as high as our middle 5th round pick.
Okay.
Personally.
Mike?
I'd be okay with the 6th round pick. Not sure I'd be okay with anything other than the round 5 pick 32.
Let's try 6th round pick. I'm okay with that because I like Amani a lot, and I think he fits really well as a zone cover scheme guy with what Wilkes likes to do, 3D, 3 under stuff offense. So let's try it. They didn't like it. This is where it would be – this is where shit gets hard. This is where it gets hard. I don't know if I want to give up one of my 5th round picks to move up right here. I am torn between it. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try one of the 5th round picks. If they don't like the last one, I'm moving on. I'm hanging up the phone and telling
Fair enough.
Go pound sand. Because I think I believe in both, and I'm not saying Long's off the board here. I'm just saying I would like to go get one of those corners and ensure we don't, because all 3 of those guys could go in the next 10 picks. So that's also in the realm.
If 2 of them go, I'd be more interested in moving up.
I'm with it.
Like,
so let's just see here.
Pick and just see.
They declined it again. So I'm going to run it. Let's run it a few picks and see who goes, who doesn't. Because I do like David Long. He's got some solo tackle issues that market share people hate. I don't really put a ton of stock into it, but they have actual data that says anybody who's been with a grain of salt as a corner have to have a certain solo tackle market share.
Even Deion Sanders had it.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I hear it. I love the coverage. So let's keep going a couple picks. Zach Allen goes. McLaurin goes. Amani goes. I'm okay. Listen, I'm okay. I'm not heartbroken by it. Now we do get into dangerous territory, though, guys. So now we got a tough decision to make. Do we sit still and wait out and see if 6 pick? What are we? We're pick 16 in this round, so we have 5 picks to wait. And I like Isaiah Johnson too. I think we haven't had much luck with Houston corners, but that's a guy that can play, in my opinion. Dean can play. Let's look at what else is there. Titus Howard is still on the board. Sharping's still on the board at linebacker. Jermaine Pratt is still there if you want a linebacker. And then edge, Aminahu's still there.
And if I could just say,
Saunders is still there. Say it up, man. What do you got?
On the cornerback side, I know we've had Iman Marshall right in on a visit. I'm not sure where we stand with how much we like him. I haven't really taken a look at his tape. But again, if we've identified that he's a guy, or even Dean is a guy with that injury that might knock him down, but he's still at that same level, I think maybe here we can feel okay looking at a different position. Maybe it is offensive tackle, or in this case, I might pound the table for Kalen Saunders already.
Yeah, and look, there are corners I like that are even lower on this board. Like, I like Mark Fields. I really like Tim Harris, the kid out of Virginia that's down here.
I like Moreland and Valentine.
I very much agree. I get it. Like, I probably would have really liked to have Amani there. Like, I think he's a good player. Shit, I took him in my draft. I posted today as the second-round pick. Like, I would have no problem with him if that's the guy they believe to fit their scheme. We don't know what they love, and we don't run our own defensive system, so we don't totally know who they love. But I think we can. Here's where I'm sitting. I think we go to our pick at 16 and we pick who we feel is the best player at that spot. And I think that you can, because here's where I'm at. You still have TJ Carey and you still have Terrence Mitchell, who are guys who are good. They're good enough. They can play. They're not elite. They probably won't be here a long time. Neither of them will, but there's still next year to draft some players too with an earlier pick. If corner becomes that pressing of a need, you still have some early picks to use, first and second and third round picks next year. I know you guys might be mad, but
I'm not mad at all.
We're gonna move on.
I definitely would have considered moving up for Long, but I'm cool. Yeah, because I do like and there's other good players available too.
We're 2 picks away from having a chance to get him, so let's see who's on the board. Next pick.
And like with the scheme fit thing, I know that we're expecting a lot more zone because that's Wilkes' thing, but I just value man, like guys that can play man coverage so much more than zone corners.
And even cover 3 like turns into man.
Yeah, exactly. They match smart DCs match routes, so it all turns into man to man. I think man cover skills is so much more valuable, especially when you get into the playoffs. A team like New England, I mean, Kansas City couldn't cover them. That's why they lost. Like, you need guys that can cover late in games on third and long. And if you have just a bunch of zone corners that just drop off and read the quarterback, that's not all that valuable to me. That's why I value David Long so much.
I feel it. I like it. It's a good perspective. Do you guys think that either of the next 3 picks, Panthers, Dolphins, Falcons, take a corner off the board, or do we just run it out at this point? Are we pot committed to getting to our pick?
I'd rather just
run it.
Pick. Yep.
Okay.
Take a chance. There's good offensive tackles on the board. There's good players.
Yep.
Speaking of which, Aminahu's gone, Titus Howard is gone, and Gerald Willis is gone to Atlanta. They addressed D tackle. So we have everything we could want here. Corner, we have David Long, Isaiah Johnson, Mr. Dean are all available sitting there. You have a pretty big discrepancy, in my opinion, at linebacker between Jermaine Pratt and the next linebacker. I like Bashawn Joseph. I like Blake Cashman, too. I just don't think Cashman's there, but we can entertain the fact that he's there in this scenario. God, he might.
I like Cashman and Coney.
Yeah, I do, too. I even like David Long. The other David Long plays with. I like Joe Giles Harris a lot, too. They have him way down, and he is like – if they're going to look to move on from Schobert and not pay him, like that dude can play Mike. And
I like Tranquil too.
I like Tranquil a lot. You just beat me to it.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that like Sione Takita. I can't say his last name. BYU kid here too. They like him. Let's look at Ed.
Is that Taki Taki? I've never seen that name, honestly.
Yeah, it looks like Taki. Yep.
I like it. I'm here for it. I don't see anybody at edge who threatens for me right now. Anybody? Can we eliminate that position?
I like Jackson, but I wouldn't take him here.
Yeah,
I like Vonnegut and I like Wilson,
I like him too.
But
and the Browns,
I'm not sure I'm pounding the table for either.
Okay. Right, and the Browns.
No, I think. Go ahead.
The Browns like Miller too. I know that
they do like Miller.
Which one? Alabama.
Yeah,
Christian Miller. Yeah.
So. The top board shows us some players that are. Connor McGovern is a good interior lineman. Has played a little bit of everywhere for Penn State. So your top players: Miles Sanders, Darrell Henderson, Mecole Hardman, Pratt is there, and then sort of some others. Here's where I'm at. Nobody at the top of the BPA chart stands out to me. We're looking at either corner, David Long, Johnson, Dean. You could consider linebacker if we want to. I've eliminated edge, so D-line we could consider. Kalen's probably not there when the Browns pick next if you're high enough on him, which I'm high enough on him. I think he's a very good football player that if you picked him here, it would be just fine with me. if you feel like that's a huge need. In the depth behind him, if there are some names you like, there's some names there that are fun. And then offensive tackle, you're looking at probably Sharping's gone by the time the Browns pick again, and that's a guy that everybody loves. So what do we think? Let's do this.
I'm going with Long.
After this pick, okay, Long is your guy. After this pick, we're going to kind of put it to everybody else, and I'm going to say you pick your guy here because I think, and unless it's just like you're trying to take Jake Burns from Muskingum, I'm going to let you pick your guy. Yeah, let's do it. Brendan, you like Long. Who do you like here? Mike, who's your guy here?
Yeah, it's gonna be really hard for me not to pound the table for Kalen Saunders here.
Okay.
I know that the draft is deep. I think we can circle back around and grab some of that depth. But at the same time, I understand that we need to invest in the defensive back. And yeah, I mean, if we're going to go Long with, let's do it. I'm okay with that. I do have Long higher than Saunders on my board, so that makes sense to me.
Okay, John, what do you got?
All right, so I thought Mike would go a little harder on Saunders, but I'm going to go a little hard on Saunders and also Cashman. Those are my two guys. And I guess that fits with what I said was I felt like we were kind of crossing a line once we got past Amani. So I understand that it's difference of opinion here. But once we got past Saunders or Amani, my guys were going to be either Colin Saunders or it was going to be Blake Cashman. I think those are two fantastic prospects that I would be choosing between at this spot.
You guys have made it challenging. So
the thing that I would pound the table for Saunders about is he gives you the ability to, always have four guys on the field that can get to the quarterback. He can spell whether it's Richardson or Ogunjobi in the middle, which will give our defensive backs, hopefully, it buys them a little bit more time, per se, if the quarterback has pressure. So I certainly value Saunders. I've loved him this entire draft process, going back to January. Again, for me, I would be okay with either pick, depending on, where we feel the biggest need right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that they need somebody. The D-line depth behind the top two guys there is poor at best, and I get it. I hear both sides of that. Brendan, do you have anything else to add?
I personally think corner is, I've got the typical PFF take. I think coverage is more valuable than pass rush, although both are valuable. I think man coverage especially is very valuable. And I'm going to give Long the edge there. But I do think that they need D-line depth, explosive D-line depth. I agree with that. I just think that we can find that a little later. And hopefully David Long comes in and competes with Mitchell. And also gives them another inside-out guy because they don't have many inside-out guys at corner right now. Mitchell can't play inside. His numbers there are terrible. So you've really only got Carey and then Ward when he moves inside following someone. So I think Long's a guy that can cover inside or outside.
Well, we drafted Hooker because he can a little bit too.
That's true. That's another guy that can. But I like adding guys that have that versatility, though. So just having
I feel it. Look, when I look at what they need to take early on, and I don't think you pin yourself into what you need to take early on, but I do think they have to get better at corner. I think that there are guys that we all like on the interior D-line that we can get. A guy like Daniel Wise is still there from Kansas. There are guys we can still get there. I really am tempted, John, by Blake Cashman. I think he's a really good freaking football player, and they certainly need another linebacker. Now, there is the rumor going around today that safety and linebacker might not be as big a need as we think it could be smokescreen season 2. So I just think they have to get good football players at these spots. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going corner here. I think David Long is a good pick for what they need, skill set wise. You just don't know about Terrence. I like Terrence Mitchell, but he's bounced around because he's never been consistent. And TJ Carey is only an interior guy for success. So I feel good about that pick. Doesn't mean you can't double up on corner, in my opinion, at some point too. So we're going to take Long there.
And let me say this. Let me say this. Like, I agree with the entire methodology. It's more of a disagreement on the evaluation of the player. The methodology and wanting to improve there, I'm in 100% agreement with Brendan, with you. So, in that case, I have no disagreements.
And here's where I'm at too. Like, David Long has some things that, like, he's going to have to break that tackle issue. Like, that's a thing that people have proven over a long period of time, that to be a good corner in this league, you have to have at least a certain threshold of solo tackles. Like, I can laugh at that and say, like, those guys should just play coverage anyway, but they need to tackle. Like, that's a part of things, and you need to play run support, so he has to prove that. And I think he can prove that stuff. I think Michigan asked him to chase a lot. Like, I think he was kind of all over the field, and it was kind of hard for him to always pin down run responsibilities. Not that I'm making excuses for him, but I think he's a really good cover guy that you can, when he's asked to tackle in a run fit situation, he can get it done. That's just me, but you don't bring in guys to your draft room, and that's the biggest reason I wanted to have a mixture of guys who I know are all over the board on opinions, because you don't just get guys in your draft room that agree with you, because that's bullshit. Like, you're never going to be a good franchise if you just take guys into your draft room who say, yeah, you're right. You nailed that. That's great. No, I want guys who say what John said. Like, I don't agree with that evaluation of a player, and that's cool. I'm into it. So if there's anybody that you guys want to move up for as we keep going, let me know. We'll keep scrolling through here. Miles Sanders goes. Both the running backs. I don't see anybody that I think we need to move up for based on this board. Could I be convinced to move up for Cashman? Like, if he's still here at this point, would you guys move up for him? I don't know. I think that he is in this situation miles better than anybody on this board. Now, like, Joe Giles Harris is there too. This board isn't, I don't know if it's authentic, like, for what things are going to shake out as, but, like, one of those guys really interest me. I mean, they really interest me. I think Cashman is a phenomenal football player. I would, if it were me, and maybe I'm a different sort of thinker than everybody else, but I would have no problem with, in this situation or the next few picks, looking at other teams' rosters, because they're going to have teams that know other, guys in the room who know what other rosters look like, who might be taking a linebacker. But if you walked away with Blake Cashman for, like, your fourth pick and your second, fifth round pick, that to me is a home run player. Like, I think
if we were ready to walk away with Amani at that sixth round pick, that it's at least worth offering, I think. Let's start with the sixth round pick, and maybe at worst end with the last fifth round pick. I think Blake Cashman is worth that as a player personally.
I'm high on him. I'm very high on him.
Would you guys envision him competing with Kirksey at will
100%.
initially?
I think Kirksey's on his way out. I think that's one of the number one players to.
But he's here for next year. At least he's
right. He's going to play in 2019. So yeah.
I think he does. Like, I think he's that good an athlete, that good at finding the football, can also be fluid in coverage. Like, I think he could come in and really give him a run for his money. Like, Kirko's going to have the edge because he's, like, the leader and all that stuff. And where my dog's at.
In base, could both of them play together? Could Cashman play Sam?
Look, I don't see why not. I mean, it depends on what you're asking your Sam to do. Like, in certain situations, like, if he an edge setter, like, maybe not. Like, but I do think that if you're looking long term of a guy who could potentially even take that role by mid-season, like, I think he's that good a football player. But in this situation, we can always look at trading into the beginning of the fourth round. Like, he's not going to be gone. I think
like the depth
to get him. Yeah.
I wouldn't move up personally, but if you guys love him that much, you can move up.
Mike, where do you sit on you? I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to alienate you there.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't move up either. I think I'm good on, especially for a linebacker, I guess, in this instance.
Right.
If word is we're happy with the stock, it's just a smokescreen. There's a lot of guys still on the board that I like. Tranquil. There's others as well. Jelani Tavai from Hawaii is another guy who kind of started to pop off a little bit on Twitter anyways recently. So I just, again, run it, see what happens at our pick. For now, nobody really sticks out for me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to run it to the beginning of the fourth round, and we'll see where it goes. Sharping just went. We didn't really entertain that. Sternberger goes. Dean goes. Joseph is off the board. So
I'm definitely disappointed that Sharping went, but guys, I just have to say that.
I agree. I agree. I really like Sharping as well.
Oh, I'm a big fan. It was just tough. Like, I'm just going to bring up really quick. Like, if you look at PFF's board, for example, like David Long's like a top 35 player. Sharping's been 50 like for a while. So I felt like he was a better player. But if I felt that Sharping was the better player at that pick, I still would have taken him. I would have taken him over Long because of just the talent.
I'm with it. So as we go into next round, the prospects available that would entertain for offensive tackle, Bobby Evans, Chuma Edoga, who had a really strong Senior Bowl performance. Oliudo's another name that has been tossed around. The tackle group has gone downhill quick. Unless you guys have any other names that you want to discuss from that list.
I like Edoga of that group.
Yeah. And it's one of the few that I like.
Same.
Probably the only one that I like.
So
just for me.
Yeah, no, I can't speak to many. I don't know. I didn't feel great enough about Oliudo playing outside. Like I felt like he was more of a guard to me. Watch, but
yeah. And I think Edoga has that feel of like the Packers tackle that they take and Campen develops.
Yep, I'm with it. So then you're looking at linebackers. Tavon Coney, Terrell Hanks is there. Really weird, slow.
Mr. 4'9".
He plays so much faster than that. It's so weird. But then other guys, I love Cashman. Maybe he's here. I would be stunned if he's there because he just seems to be shooting up boards. Like Tranquil's good. I mean, again, I'm way higher on Joe Giles Harris than this sort of thing is. But, we could look at D-line too. Kalen's still there. Do we want to move up for Kalen? That's an interesting question. Like the other guys that I really like here, like Renell Wren is a name that tests well, but he has no production. Tristan Hill had the weird senior year, right, where he didn't start. I do like Daniel Wise, who I think is an off-the-ball, quick-step freak that can shoot and penetrate a gap. And then I like Dogby, as I think everybody in here has grown into liking him because he's a crazy freak of nature. So your question then becomes, is Kalen Saunders that much better than everybody else there that you justify potentially moving up to take him in this situation? Anybody want to stand for moving up to take him?
I will.
Okay.
I think he's that much better. I would definitely think about moving up for Saunders. I mean, I just think the movement ability, the feet for a guy that's 320 pounds, I think that he exhibits all kinds of traits that you would want at this point in the draft. And I don't think that – well, I'm not a Wren fan. Let me put it that way. He's got a fantastic physical profile. He does literally nothing with it. So I'm not one of those guys who likes the potential of Wren. So if there's people in this group that, want to bet on those traits, that's fine. But Kalen Saunders, to me, it looks like a much better bet than this group. I do like Daniel Wise. I love Michael Dogby, and I want him later on in this draft. But I think there's a very good case to go ahead and grab a 320-pound guy who can move like that in Kalen Saunders. So that's my guy, and I'll stand for him all day.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I was already sort of considering him last round, so
he's going to go. He's not going to be there at 17.
And for me, it's the versatility that really gets me. Is you can put him out on the edge, you can put him at 5-tech, at 3-tech. You can do whatever you want with him, and he can get pressure to the quarterback. He's going to have to work on his run game a little bit, but again, what he can do physically, I think, matches what you see on the field in terms of his production. Which why for me, since January, he's been a top 75 player. So I'd move up for him. I'd maybe try to even package a future pick for him to see kind of still get as much value as we can this year while giving away a pick next year just before the potential lockout.
Okay, Brandon?
I like him a lot. I'm a big fan. However, I think with the way that the board looks, there's a lot more defensive tackles that I'm interested in. I also think that there's one offensive tackle that I'm interested in, and finding one for the next 4 years that can hopefully start at some point is a huge priority. So I lean much toward Edoga, even though I do like Saunders a lot. I recognize that Saunders might have an easier path to the field initially, but I think long-term, the pass protecting left tackle is probably more valuable. And I just think there's like one offensive tackle I'd be interested in, whereas defensive line, quite a few. So I would actually be more inclined to move up for the tackle than I would for Saunders, even though I think Saunders is a more explosive football player. I really don't want to draft with no offensive tackle.
I'm with it. I think as you look at it,
I agree.
Yeah, if you use all 8 picks, or in this case 9, like offensively tackle is the only spot I want to get anybody. So
we need that.
We do. I very much agree. So I'm going to start it. I'm not going to make the trade. I like Kalen a lot, but I trust some of our evaluations for guys later that I think we can still find impact players later on without jeopardizing any picks next year. So let's start it, and then we'll see if any tackle issues come up. So Kalen goes to San Francisco. It hurts. I know a little part of us died, but we'll keep going. We still have a couple good players that we can get. Bobby Evans is gone. So at this point, you're running into a danger. If Edoga's a guy we all really like after that, I'm not sure there's anybody here that I'm like, man, I got to have that guy, and I really believe he could be. I'm just saying. And maybe somebody doesn't take Wyatt Miller before Edoga. So do we want to consider moving up here, giving up a 5th-round pick to go get Edoga?
I'd offer the 6th.
Okay. Anybody else want to move up, or do you just want to play it out to 16? Sorry, 17.
Well, I'm going to trust Brendan's evaluation. I've watched a little bit of Edoga. I do like him.
Mm-hmm.
If we're framing him as a guy who can step in and be the potential left tackle for our team, I'm willing to give up a little bit more than just the 6th. Again, I would, in an attempt to secure this guy, I would be willing to put a little bit more on the table. Again, maybe a pick next year in the mid rounds.
Okay.
But that's just if he's as valuable as we think he is, he would be worth that in my opinion.
Okay, John.
I'm going to defer on this one.
All right, if that's fair enough, I'm going to try to trade up.
I just like his profile. I like his profile as a pass protector. That's really important.
I'm not touching either of our first 2 5th-round picks. I'll make that very clear. The 3rd 5th-round pick is as far as I'll go with the Giants. We have Giants. We have Gettleman, who maybe he doesn't want to deal with us because we've swindled too much from him. But we'll see.
He seems happy.
I'm going to try the 7th-round pick first and see if they.
Yeah, try it. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Odell wasn't there today, so he's real happy. They won that trade. Let's propose it. Declined. Okay.
Try again.
Begin with the 6th. Declined. They like somebody here. I'll go pick 32. That's all the farther I'm going. I'm being honest. Declined. So let's see who's. Let's see what Detroit will do at the 9th pick.
Let's see what they take. Let's wait till the team's on the board to make a trade because we don't want to trade up and then the people in front of us take our guy.
All right, Tyree Jackson, Cincinnati. That's fascinating. Let's try again. Yeah. No. All right, so we are going to try with the Lions. Am I right about that, or was I wrong about that? Lions. We're trying it. We're putting in their pick 4. Let's try the 7th-round pick. Declined. God, these guys are very stern out here.
Stingy.
Very stingy. They also declined.
Wow.
Well, we'll try our 5th-round pick 32.
They'll propose wild trades to you, but they'll decline all the ones that make sense.
I don't want to move off of it. I don't want to move off.
That's fine. Yeah. Once we're in the 4th round, it just seems weird to me needing to trade 5th-rounders to move up.
See, like there goes Wyatt Miller, who
that's fine.
So he's next. So the Browns are 6 picks away. I mean, are we biting the bullet, or are we going to try to really go get him? I mean,
can we see the guards? Are there any guards that maybe they've got on here as a guard when it should be? Some people think Hyatt, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. What about center? Any centers?
People like Lamont a lot.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's still there. But
linebackers, I mean, Blake Cashman's still there, who I love in this situation. I don't think he'll be there in real life. I'm going to run it. I'm just going to see if we get lucky in this situation.
I don't think we will.
Who's up next? Let me see who's up next. Proposed trade. I don't think we will either, but I mean, yeah. Baltimore, Green Bay, Carolina.
It's just so tough. It's so tough to.
Let's see what Baltimore does, and then we'll come back to Green Bay. Can I resume it down here? Okay. So the Baltimore Ravens take Anthony Nelson. Green Bay is up. I'm going to try with Green Bay. I mean, we're getting very close to, like, barely moving.
They have 2 picks here.
Yeah,
maybe they'll want another one.
We'll try the 6th-round pick. I can't get anybody to come off of it.
All right. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't particularly want to.
Don't.
I guess I can give up a future 6 too, like a future 5, like.
I wouldn't really dip into next year. Picks. I don't like dipping into future picks. Do you think it's worth
pick 17?
No.
You say pick 17th and getting back their second 6th-round pick.
Okay, I'll roll with that. Yeah, I don't like giving up, that extra. Yeah, I'm cool with this.
They declined it again, so it's not meant to be. Okay. In this draft scenario, it is not meant to be. Ryan Finley to the Packers. Watch out, Aaron Rodgers. Justice Hill, Renell Wren. Guys, we're 2 picks away from running into a situation here. Who's up? Next 20 pick, you have Atlanta, and then Green Bay won't take him, I don't imagine. So let's try and see if Atlanta will take a 6th round. I'm not offering any more. To move up 2 spots, I'm not offering any more than the 6, just to make sure we get our guy. There to go. Okay, maybe.
Okay. Fair enough.
Just roll the dice.
Terrell Hanks goes. Green Bay.
Oh, man.
Oh, of course they did. Of course they did.
Oh, Cashman's my guy.
Real fuck you to Highsmith and Wolf there from Green Bay. They knew we were coming after him. Well, if it shakes this way, I'm going to take Cashman. I hope you guys.
Cashman's my guy.
Campin is so pissed right now. They just got revenge on him.
There's also Campin. I mean, we'll look at D-line. I just think that Cashman's a better player than any of the D linemen, even the guys we think. I mean,
I'm cool with taking Cashman. I think he's the best player on the board.
Okay, let's run that. Yeah. So it's still rolling through here. Tristan Hill goes. Mike Weber, Buckeye, goes to Seattle. Josh Oliver, tight end, good player, goes to Denver. Will Harris, a safety I like, to the Eagles. And that is it for this round. There's always the comp picks. Anybody? Jalen Hurd goes to Philly at the end of the 4th. All right, next round.
We're now scouring all the backup tackles in the league, trying to trade a player for them.
We absolutely are.
All the rosters.
So now is where we get fun. We have 5 picks left and 3 in this 5th round. So anybody on this board, all guys available here that you want to move up a couple picks for. Anybody you're slamming the table? I don't see anybody personally.
Not at all.
Anybody off the top of your guys' head?
No.